Well, the only thing that was going through my head was that I miss Jana a lot, and it was just very emotional moment to see me on a board right next to her. I think she would be proud. I think she would be really excited that I'm on a same board as she is, because Wimbledon was super special for her.
Please take your seats quickly, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Tennis Weekly with Joel, Kim and Chris on today's Wimbledon Day 13 catch-up.
Barbora Krejcikova wins her second major.
Henry Patten goes from statsman to slam winner.
And Siniakova and Townsend win the ladies' doubles.
Chris, today is the 13th of July. We are here to catch up on day 13 from Wimbledon at Tennis Weekly HQ. Well, she did it. Barbora Krejcikova has indeed won her second major singles Grand Slam title, beating recent French Open finalist Jasmine Paolini in 3 sets today. 6-2, 2-6, 6-4. It's win number 2 from 2 singles slam finals for Krejcikova, but the complete reverse for Paolini, making it the second final she's lost on the trot at a Grand Slam level. We'll be dissecting that shortly. And in the doubles, Britain's Henry Patten is also a Grand Slam champion with his Finnish partner Harri Heliovaara, and Taylor Townsend and Katerina Siniakova also winning their first title together on an action-packed day on centre court that has literally only really just finished. They've gone quite late tonight, Chris, and I think you've been out at a wedding. I've been to see a play. We've been kind of starting to venture into non-Wimbledon bits as we kind of get ready to adjust our lives back, haven't we?
Although the tennis is still going and we're very much committed to the tennis.
Of course.
We're also committed to some other things that have been going on, and I've been following all of it. I've been following the podcast that I've missed. We've been talking about Pink, who's been on the grounds. She seems to be getting very up and close and personal with all of the stars. But it's been a pretty star-studded day on centre court as well. We've had Sharapova's been back. Is also
Tom
that Marion
Cruise.
Bartoli. Tom Cruise. I mean, a strange day at Wimbledon with all the celebrities that were there.
I swear Tom Cruise is there every year, but just kind of turns up for, one of the finals. He's clearly got like a level he will, minimum level is I want to be the finals only.
He's not there for qualies in Roehampton, is he, Kim?
That would be interesting if he turned up at Roehampton. I was very impressed by Pink, though, because she was there yesterday as well, and she was there today. So she's not just done the one token day. She's stuck around. I like that.
We should get her on the podcast, Kim. Maybe she could cover it when we're not able to be on site.
She could be the 4th member of Tennis Weekly. How about
a roving reporter.
But yes, we have been at other commitments as well. But we have watched lots of tennis today as well. We are a dab hand at multitasking. I was on radio silence today. There, I had to go out earlier. I came back and watched the final kind of 2 hours after it happened. But I made sure I wasn't connected to any internet prior to that. So I was successfully able to do that, which was nice in this day and age. It's quite a rarity. So I did find out that Barbora Krejcikova was a Wimbledon champion about 2 hours after it actually happened. I mean, it's not her first time winning out on centre court, is it? She has actually won the doubles here previously, but first time obviously as a singles Grand Slam champion here at SW19. And it does actually continue this remarkable run of first-time singles champions here. The last 7 years on the women's side, there's been a first-time winner. I mean, that's quite a remarkable record, since the kind of Serena Williams era has ended. We're now getting, a fresh face every year, it seems.
It is kind of unbelievable, and that was a question that came up a lot in press, especially at the start of the week, because one of the reporters was actually asking all of the top stars what they thought about it. Especially players like Vondrousova. Sloane Stephens was also asked it. It was quite interesting hearing the responses, because some people see it as like a testament to the depth of the women's game, and others see it as the fact that this is just a slam that is so much more open in terms of who will win it, who will get it done. But for me, I think it just kind of shows that if you do have a dream, this is the slam where people can play almost tennis from another planet from themselves, because they're not used to necessarily everyone playing on grass week in, week out. It does get those different results. And people do always have this as a bucket list slam. So people really do up their game here.
And it also, I think, shows with Paolini having got to the final with 0 wins on grass courts prior to this season, that when we're looking at predictions for next year's Wimbledon, we don't even need to really consider their previous grass court form. It's wild, I think you would say.
Yes, I will say wild.
Because, there's such a strong nation of Czech women's tennis players.
I guess like a Petra Kvitova, we always kind of forget that the only slam she's won is Wimbledon, and she's won it twice.
Yeah. Whereas Krejcikova actually, much more of an all-rounder, and in the doubles as well, probably in recent times now the most successful Czech player. But let's look at how she did that today, because she did come through against, a rising star, of the tennis scene, Jasmine Paolini. She's really been the woman of the year, I think, so far. But she wasn't able to get the job done today. It was 6-2, 2-6, 6-4 to Krejcikova. A bit of a topsy-turvy final. Krejcikova dominating that first set, serving super well. I think she was at 90% first serves in that first set. Then Paolini just completely, changing it around in the second set, upping the ante, clinching that one, the same scoreline. And then we went into this third set thinking, which way is it going to go? And it got to 3-3, and then Krejcikova just upped the ante and broke. And, that was the deciding element of the match, really.
Yeah, it was. I think it's very impressive the way that Paolini was able to fight back and get that second set. I was really pleased for her because, after that sort of loss against Iga, where we felt like potentially the idea of playing Iga at the French Open was almost a mental barrier too far, I think what's good is that she did turn up in the final and she was really competitive. I think the only thing that she could probably be a little bit disheartened by was that when she had those chances, to get back into the match as Krejcikova was serving for it, she didn't quite take it. She missed a couple of shots that maybe she would have wished that she'd made. But I mean, it's a final. It's very, very hard. The pressure is on. And so often players don't play their best game. And I don't think either player played their best level that we've seen for them throughout the tournament. But it doesn't matter because it's about how you play on the day and how you play in those big moments.
Yeah, I was really glad that Paolini had opportunities to break back when Krejcikova was serving for the championship, because I think that, that last final game was really edgy, really tense. And, that was the most dramatic moment of the whole match. And I'm glad we did have that, and it wasn't just kind of, the kind of really one-sided affair that we saw in the French Open. I think Paolini, definitely went down fighting, and, it was a very, very close final in, overall. And for sure, she, has certainly not left anything out there on the court, really. And I think, it's commendable effort today. But Krejcikova as well, just showing that, although she did get nervous in that final game, she had it enough in the bag to up it and to get the job done. And I mean, what do you think was the deciding factor for Krejcikova in the final to kind of come through and get that final break and to get over the finish line first?
I do think, and she was asked about this in press as well, that a big part of what makes it easier is more experience at this level. Winning slams, being at the latter stages of tournaments. I think when it's come so quickly for Paolini, I think it's quite hard to process. And especially on grass, I think she's not necessarily able to know how she will do in those moments or have that confidence in the surface in the same way that Krejcikova has, obviously winning here before, and also being much more experienced at this level. So I think that helps a lot when it comes to the nerve side of things. I also think that when you are up, I think it does help a little bit, because although people sometimes say that getting nervous when you're serving for it, I think when you're trying to stay in for a Wimbledon Championship, you're trying to stay in the match, trying to break back, that is also a very big pressure as well, because it's not free hitting. But where's this come from, I think, and where did the win come from? I think the forehand was the big difference here. I think the serve from Krejcikova, this whole tournament, the serve has been so much better than it has been previously. And it's first strike tennis. She's been super aggressive in the forehand, gets so much work on the ball. I mean, it almost jumps off the surface, especially when she's hitting cross court, and it just flies almost into the stands, the amount of spin she's able to get on it. So especially when you're someone who's quite on the shorter side like Paolini, it is quite tricky then to kind of handle some of that. And it's easy to get dragged out of the court because, if you don't have a huge wingspan, it's quite hard to get to cover the ground and get yourself in a position where you can then recover quickly. So I think the damage was done on the forehand side and from being aggressive. And Paolini so often is aggressive, but Krejcikova just upped the ante today.
Yeah, and and she, like you said, she's got that experience to do that in Grand Slam finals. I mean, prior to the tournament, as we alluded to before, she had suffered recently with injury, with illness. She didn't have a great start to the season, and now she's a Wimbledon champion. And she said herself afterwards that she just couldn't believe it because it just wouldn't have seemed like a realistic proposition. And her first round match, she only just came through 7-5 in the third set. So I don't think any of us are really talking about her in this conversation as a champion. Maybe until the quarterfinal stage. I mean, she's beaten some top players who are in good form, Ostapenko, Rybakina,
Collins.
So she's absolutely had to beat the best, to win this title. But do you think there was a particular turning point over the last, fortnight where she maybe believed that she could go all the way, or we did?
Well, I mean, you talk about her season being not necessarily the best, so this has kind of come from nowhere. She's actually now won 7 matches in a row, and for the whole season, she was 7 wins, 9 losses for the year to date. So that is unbelievable. She's doubled her win count just from this one tournament. So she really has played herself into form as the tournament's progressed. And I think that does show, you look at the players that she's playing, I think probably a big sign of the fact that she was playing well is actually getting that win over Kudermetova, who's obviously a very good player. But I think when you have such a stern test in round 1, it does actually mean that it frees you up a bit for the tournament, but it also shows you the level that you can play at on the grass. It was a really long match. It was 2 tie breaks, finished 7-5 in the third. It was a 3 hours and 14 minutes, that first test. So I think that was probably the most important match of the tournament for her. But then I think the statement win did come over Collins. And I thought potentially Collins wasn't playing her best that day. Now, with hindsight, it's clear that, Barbora was playing the best tennis of the tournament. She's come away with the title. And that loss in the round of 16, I think Danielle Collins will be reflecting on that and thinking, hang on a minute, Barbora was playing fantastic tennis and maybe it wasn't my day because it was her tournament.
Absolutely. And one of the things she's been asked about was, how emotional it's been winning this title after, her former coach, Jana Novotna, who, did win this title herself in 1998. Just how emotional it is to pick up the same trophy. And she spoke about that again in press. So let's have a little listen to that.
It's tough to say. I mean, because I don't really think that. I mean, winning any slam is a great, and winning here at the Wimbledon is huge for me. But I wouldn't really say that it was kind of like my dreams. When I was very little. I have a notebook that I wrote, I think, when I was 12, and I don't know, maybe 3-4 months ago, I was listing through that notebook, and I had there that in the future, back then when I was 12, I wrote that in the future I would like to win the French Open. So it was quite a big dream for me to win the French Open. And to be honest, maybe things shifted a little bit when I actually met Jana. And when she was telling me all the stories about Wimbledon and about the grass and how difficult it was for her to win the title and how emotional she was when she actually made it. And I think since then I started to see the Wimbledon like the biggest tournament in the world.
That's beautiful words about Jana Novotna, and it's all the memories that it's brought back, and the fact that she's, playing for that and her memory as well, and she's also won both the slams on her list, So what does she do now, Chris? Where's her next dream, do you think?
What's great about Barbora is that she's such a student of the game. She loves it, and if anyone knows or follows the tour regularly, she does watch matches. She'll always be out there watching the matches at the tournament. When she's not playing tennis, she's watching tennis. So her love for the game is so strong that I don't think this will be similar to, some of the players who win, and I won't name names, who then kind of lose a bit of focus or get distracted by it. I think very much it is a case that she does have big ambitions in tennis. She's got a very big game, and I think that she knows now that she can she can win all the slams and the Olympics and the end of season finals in doubles, And I think completing the set from a singles perspective would be a really big goal in the career Grand Slam because, as you say, not many Czechs have won in more than one slam. So I think that would be a goal to keep on picking up titles. She's had some good form in Australia previously, but I think she's realistic that, form does come and go, but appreciate these high moments and then look forward to when she can peak again.
Yeah, and to be fair, in all honesty, because we saw her win the French 3 years ago, and then her ranking obviously did go up, and it will again. I think she's going to be back into the top 20. I think after this win,
she will be top 10.
Top 10.
And a career high of number 2. So remember, there was that period where she was, very high up in the rankings. After that French Open win, and she was getting to quarterfinals at all the slams. She has been to quarterfinals at all the slams now with the Wimbledon quarterfinal and now the Wimbledon win. So I guess it's just improving on what is already, an exemplary record.
I'm not suddenly expecting her to start dominating, though. I don't think we're having those sorts of conversations.
Krejcikova era is not upon us.
She's not really that sort of player. It's more of a when it's on, it's on. But, there's going to be those sort of low moments maybe. As for Paolini, though, she's up to a career high of 5 as of Monday. She's just, really shot up this year and, in terms of her game. In terms of this final, let's have a little listen to what she said in press, because she was asked about, what she would have perhaps done differently and where the kind of that edge was for Krejcikova today. So let's hear from Paolini now.
I think she served better than me, of course, but also I think she can move the ball very, very good, very well. She can take really great angles with the shots. She's a very complete player. She slides so good, and I think she was a little bit, closer to the line respect of me. I was a little bit, especially the first set, too much back in the court. So she was taking, the ball earlier. She was moving me, but then I tried to serve better and to try to push more. It went a little bit better, but still she was playing really good, I think, and the serve, the quality of the serve of her was better than mine, I think.
I think that was quite a fair assessment, wouldn't you say, Chris?
Yeah, it seems pretty fair. I think she seems like she knows what was going on. And I think given, look at the stats, Krejcikova was playing ultra aggressive. I think it was like 30% of the time she was being aggressive versus Paolini at just 19%. And that's quite clear that Paolini's game is being attacking, but she wasn't able to because Krejcikova was taking the ball so early. So I think Krejcikova wanted it on her racket. She wanted to stick to her game plan of taking the ball early, dominating the points. And she's also able to create the angles. So you will get more errors from that. But at the same time, when you take the risk, you also don't let your opponent hit the winners that she normally would. And if you look at the win account, Krejcikova hit 28 to Paolini's 19. And both of them actually had more unforced errors than winners. So I think the nature of taking your opponent out of your comfort zone can also take you out of your comfort zone. But for Krejcikova, it was a risk that paid off.
And with Paolini, do you think she will go on to win a major one day? She's lost in 2 major finals now. Do you think there's a danger that she'll go down in the records of people that got to multiple finals, never won one, or do you think she will kind of continue on and carry on this great season that she's been having, maybe get to another slam final before, well, at the US Open maybe? Could she do 3 in a row? Yeah,
it reminds me of that year that Mary Pierce had where she had 2 finals at slams. She's had great results at the other slam as well, reaching the 4th round. It was a really good result for her, given she didn't have the form coming into Australia. So that was great. And then Dubai, obviously a hard court. So the US Open Series is on hard courts. She can play on all surfaces now. No one thought she could play on grass. She didn't think she could play on grass. And she's proven people wrong there. So I think it's been a fantastic time for her. And you just hope that when she talks about the enjoyment versus the focus side of things, that she is able to strike that balance, because sometimes you do feel like she's maybe not as focused or hasn't always been as focused, but now she's building the fitness side of things. She's improving so much of her game. But I would say there's been a little bit of like a Houdini effort, I would say, in terms of the way that she's kind of got through this. Because remember, Kim, not long ago you were watching her almost crashing out to Madison Keys, 5-2 in that third. So it just shows that no matter where you are in a tournament, you can still have things turn around for you in your favour. So that's definitely something that's worth holding on to. And she's a player with a lot of belief, and when she has the belief, she can play well. So I'm not sure why she wouldn't be able to win a major.
Yeah, well, I'd love to see it. And I think, she really is a fan favourite. You could tell that she certainly won over the sort of the crowd on centre court as well today. Obviously Krejcikova as well, but I think Paolini, everyone does very much warm to her, and she's a lovely personality to have on the tour, and it's fantastic to see her grow. And just quickly, Chris, on the women's tournament, for you, I know Krejcikova has come away with the title, but who do you think's been kind of the biggest winner, if you like, on the women's side? Who's maybe impressed you the most? I mean, maybe obviously Krejcikova, but is there, other than that?
For me, it probably would be Paolini, who's really impressed me, because this whole grass season, we've talked about it before, never won a match on grass at a tour level event. I'm pretty sure coming into this grass court season, which is almost, unbelievable. I've said that before. So I think that's a player doing that from nowhere and backing up that French Open result. I think that's so nice to see the consistency, because we so rarely get it from players other than Iga and Coco in Sabalenka. I think it's nice to see that there are others on the tour who are also capable of breaking through and also continuing to make an impact. In terms of players that I think potentially would have been nice to have seen them go a bit deeper, obviously defending champion, it's a big shame to see her go out so early. I think that's never great. And, Donna Vekic, it really is heartbreaking, that loss she had against Paolini. I think it could have gone a very different way, and I think that the final could have been very different, and it could have been such a big opportunity. But, I'm from the Henchikova support camp, so we all know semi-finals can run away from you, and nothing is a cert. So I reckon they'd be kind of the standout performers, but also Katerina, I was kind of hoping for some more things post-Eastbourne. But overall, I think it's been so wonderful to see such competitive semi-finals and finals for the women's side.
Yeah, real good showcase at the latter stages of the tournament, especially. It's been a fantastic event on the women's side, especially. We're going to take a very quick break now, but do join us in the second half, where we'll be taking a look at the ladies and men's doubles finals, and also looking ahead to tomorrow's men's singles final. So do not go anywhere.
I feel great. I got 500 text messages. I didn't know that many people had my number. So that's going to take a while to go through, I think. But, I feel amazing. This is my first one. This is my first Grand Slam title. And, I've been close 2 other times. But to get over the finish line, the way that we did, I think we played so well. And we're just locked in control. And just we played our way. So it felt good the way that we did it. And, I've been working really hard, and it just feels really great to be able to do this. And so I was in the shower and I was like, damn, I really just won Wimbledon. Sorry. You've done it before, so it's like you've done it. This is the ninth one, so it's like I don't know if it feels the same for you, but for me it's like I popped my Grand Slam champion
every time
cherry.
Different.
Yeah. So I feel amazing. I feel so great. But I'm just really happy to be able to share this moment with Katerina and all the people that are on my team that have been with me for the ride.
That was Taylor Townsend on winning her first Grand Slam title at Wimbledon. And, let's just talk about the women's doubles final, because we had Katerina Siniakova and Taylor Townsend capturing that in 2 tie-break sets over Gabby Dabrowski and Erin Routliffe today. Siniakova, we know, is a very accomplished doubles player. Played a lot with Krejcikova, I believe.
Yes.
She's normally, that's their, the historic partnership. I think they
7
won
titles together, yeah.
7 titles together. And then Siniakova pairing up with Coco Gauff to win the French Open last month, I think. But this time with Taylor Townsend, who has won her very first slam, which is fantastic for her. Did you see much of this match, Chris? Because it was quite a late ladies doubles final. Normally it doesn't kind of go so late, but it seemed like quite a long match for kind of a two set match.
Yeah, and the schedule obviously did change with the weather, so normally it wouldn't be the case that you'd have the men's and women's doubles finals on the same day as the women's final. And then tomorrow we've just got the mixed and the men's from the centre court perspective of the main events that are happening here. So very unusual to see it so late. I'm very pleased that, people did stay. And one of the most famous people who did stay, Sue Barker, stayed the whole way through that double. So it just shows you how much of a fan she's of tennis and staying so close to tennis. And it's great to see the support for the women who are playing in this event because the standard was so high. I mean, it's the 2 seeds versus the 4 seeds. Taylor Townsend's no stranger to a Grand Slam final. She's been to, I think, 3 now. This was the 3rd. She finished a runner-up before at the US Open in 2022 with McNally, and then with Leylah Fernandez in 2023 at the French Open. So it's been a long time coming for her, and it does come after the birth of her son, Aiden. So I think it's even more special because she did have that time away from tennis. But I mean, it's great to see such competitive sets of tennis. I think that Routliffe and Dabrowski have had a fantastic season. Routliffe has been a standout performer. She will go up to the world number 1 at the moment. Just a few points ahead of Siniakova, who's obviously won the last 2 doubles majors with different partners, as you say. Do you know who the last person to do that was, Kim?
I was going to say different partners and different surfaces as well. So she's done the sort of French Open, Wimbledon double in the doubles. Last person to do it, I want to say might be like Barbora Krejcikova, because I mean she was a solid. She won Wimbledon last year, I think, didn't she?
She did, and it was last year actually, but it was Shea Su Wei who won
Shea
Roland Garros with Wong, and then she won Wimbledon with Strycova. So I mean that was also such an impressive run last year. And they made the semi-finals this year. I mean, well, Shea Su Wei did. Obviously, Stryckova's now retired, having just popped back in to win Wimbledon. But, I mean, for Dabrowski and Routliffe, it's got to be quite heartbreaking with the 2 tiebreak sets. But Siniakova, I mean, 9 major titles now, and she's proving that she can do it with multiple doubles partners. Do you think, though, with the success that they've had, Kim, both Czech players, both together previously and then at Wimbledon separately, will they team up for the Olympics? Surely they will, to try and get another Olympic gold medal together.
Siniakova and Krejcikova, I mean, surely it would make sense. I can't imagine that they wouldn't. I mean, they used to play in the juniors together, I think, as well. They've won, I think, 3 junior doubles Grand Slams. So they've been playing together a long time. They obviously it is sort of embedded in each other's games almost. So I would imagine, they would want to get another Olympic gold because they did previously, win that before. I mean, Siniakova's done a golden slam, hasn't she? She's won all the Grand Slams and the Olympic gold. So she's like a Mate Pavic, I suppose.
Well, Krejcikova's done the same with her, yeah.
Yeah, did it first, I think. And yeah, it's a shame for Routliffe, but although, she has got the number 1 ranking, although I'm sure she'd rather have had that Wimbledon women's doubles title. But well done, Siniakova and Townsend. In other news, on the men's doubles, which came on after the ladies singles final, we do have British success because we do have Henry Patten winning with Harri Heliovaara of Finland. They came through in a last set tiebreak. They saved championship points, a very dramatic finish especially. And yeah, fantastic for Henry Patten, who I don't think really anyone particularly knew before this tournament. He's not a household name in the UK, it's fair to say.
No, definitely not. And when you look at the doubles, everyone was talking about, Nils Skupski. You also talk a lot about Joe Salisbury's had success. I mean, he's won the US Open numerous times in a row now. So this really came out of nowhere. And it's been, such a nice story because, I mean, previously he was just 8 years ago. He was actually on the outside courts at Wimbledon working for IBM, and he was collecting the match statistics. And then now he is the statistic. He's the winner, and people were collecting statistics on his performance. So, I mean, that's an unbelievable turnaround, from being on one side of the system to being the champion. And I mean, it must just be unbelievable. But I mean, such a close match, Kim, that could have gone either way. What do you think would make the difference in those moments? Because I mean, it was tiebreak after tiebreak in this match, and is it just holding your nerve?
Yeah, they were really struggling to break each other's serve. It was, it did seem like it was going to go down to that final set championship tiebreak. And Purcell and Thompson, who they were up against, very, both of them very sort of established Aussie players who love a grass court, tend to do quite well on the grass. and also established doubles players really. They led 8-6 in that championship tiebreak, but Patten and Heliovaara winning 5 of the next 6 points to kind of get that win. And I mean, obviously I would imagine very much buoyed on by the home crowd. I think that probably really helped them over the finish line. And very, very tight margins throughout, and just really good showcase, I think, for the doubles. And also I was quite pleased that it wasn't a 5-set match anymore, because I think it would have, they wouldn't have got through the day's play, would they? The women's doubles would have had the curfew or they may never have got started.
Yeah, probably, or another schedule change. But what I particularly liked was actually what Henry said about how close it was. And he said kind of what his first sort of comments from his father was, and I think it'd be very nice to have a listen now.
Yeah, I think my dad came up to me and said that was like a bank robbery, which I thought was harsh but fair. It seemed like we were just always down. First set tiebreak, we were 6-1 down, clawed it back, lost. Second set tiebreak, I think 5-2 down, lucky net cord, pretty good return, but pretty lucky at the same time. Clawed it back. Mini breaks down in the third set tiebreak. Couldn't get near to their serves all match. And blew open the doors and ran away with the trophy at the end of it, basically.
I've never heard a match being described as a bank robbery before. I love the analogy there. Very creative.
There's a lot of money on the line, Kim, so maybe it does feel like they did rob some cash prize there.
Yeah, but it really doesn't happen very often that Brit wins the men's doubles. Like, obviously we had Neil Skupski last year, but we also had Johnny Murray in 2012 with Chris. Do you remember who that was with?
Oh, of course we do. The legend, Danish royalty, no less, right?
Absolutely, yes, Freddie Nilsson. That was exciting. Patten, only the third player from the UK to do it. I mean, something that Jamie Murray has not done, or Joe Salisbury here at Wimbledon in the men's doubles at the least. They've done it in the mixed. So fantastic for Henry Patten. Hopefully he will never have to do those IBM stats ever again. But what a story. What a kind of almost, rags to riches story for him. But we do go on to day 14 tomorrow, the last day of the championships. We do, of course, have the men's singles final between Carlos Alcaraz and Novak Djokovic taking place. And we've got the mixed doubles final after that as well. Gonzalez and Olmos versus Zielinski and Su Wei-Shea. We've got Gordon Reid and Alfie Hewitt in action, I think, in the men's doubles final and the wheelchairs as well. And Alfie Hewitt as well in the wheelchair singles final. So lots in action tomorrow with the juniors as well taking place out on court 1. I guess that begs the question, Chris. What are we doing for our predictions for the men's final? We are going to have to make a decision on that before we finish for the day.
We are, aren't we? Always tough. I actually was on the BBC radio this morning and I made a prediction. I did say that I thought Alcaraz was going to win it, so I think I'm going to stick with that just because throughout this tournament I think he has just got better, and there is this confidence that he has in the sense that no matter what situation he's in, and I think you said this yesterday on the podcast, Kim, you don't think he's going to lose. And I think that's that whole setting that he has where physically he knows he can last 5 sets, but also he does do that sort of factory reset where he's just able to almost just wipe whatever's happened and he's just able to move on from that. And I think that that's what you need when it comes to 5 sets. Wimbledon final, anything can happen. And last year we never thought that would be the tournament where it all changed in terms of the relationship between Alcaraz and Djokovic and the head-to-head, and he caused a humongous upset. Whereas this year I feel like he's a different player, more mature, and with the Djokovic injury, is it an injury? We're not sure in terms of the operation and where he's at, but clearly he's physically feeling a lot better. But last year he was also physically fit. So that's my logic. Does that make sense to you, Kim?
I do understand that, and I think there's a lot of merit in what you've said. I just wonder if it'll be different this time round because Alcaraz probably is the favourite, and maybe he'll feel that. And it's a bit of a different scenario going in, as last year he was the underdog. People were probably, they were wondering, if he'd be able to cause a bit of an upset, be the challenger. But maybe we were still thinking Djokovic would come through. Whereas now it's almost the other way round. Maybe no one's really, or certainly, Djokovic doesn't have the same sort of mantle upon him or expectation. And I think that actually might be quite liberating for him. So I'm gonna say Djokovic is winning.
Ooh, that was your prediction from the start. We
in
should
5. I did predict Djokovic before the start of the tournament, to be fair.
You did. We should also dine out on this, Kim, because Joel did, in one of the clips you have on social media as well from our preview episode, he said we were both mad for putting Djokovic in our final.
Well, yeah, and where's Jannik Sinner, can I just say? Where is Jannik Sinner? Not in the final.
Exactly.
Although we had all put Sinner in the final, I think none of us had put Alcaraz. Do you think whoever wins the match is almost going to be like the de facto world number one, taking it away from Sinner already in people's minds?
I think so. I think if Alcaraz wins, winning 2 slams in a row and defending your title, that's 3 in 12 months. I mean, that is world number one behaviour, even if the rankings don't necessarily suggest that, because I believe whatever happens tomorrow, Jannik Sinner will still be number one. So nothing's going to change there. But again, whoever wins tomorrow will have 2 active slams in their locker. So Jannik Sinner has won. So I think there are multiple players who are in contention. I think, obviously, when it comes to not just world number one, greatest of all time, a record equaling 8th Wimbledon title would be huge for Novak Djokovic, equaling Federer, and a 25th slam. I mean, these numbers are getting ridiculous. So, I mean, if he is the world number one again by the end of the year, that would also be an unbelievable achievement at 37 years of age. So, a lot on the line, but whoever wins, I really do think is the number one de facto.
I think we're looking at a good final regardless. I think that the level will be high, it will be close. And let's see what turns up tomorrow come 2 p.m. But we'll be back for one final episode from Wimbledon from the fortnight tomorrow. Enjoy all the action on the final day of the championships. And listeners, I hope you've enjoyed our latest episode of the Tennis Weekly podcast. Remember to subscribe to us to stay up to date on all the action still to come from Wimbledon. There is one more day and we don't want you to miss it. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify and all major podcasting platforms out there. And if you like what you're hearing, then make sure to leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify.
You can also follow us on social media and see all of the content that we'll be posting from Wimbledon. We also will be sharing some photos from behind the scenes at Wimbledon where we have been. We've been there every day and we've been recording from site. So there's plenty to have a look at there. You can also email the show, and that's at tennisweeklypod@gmail.com. And to follow us on social media, it's Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and X with the handle Tennis Weekly Pod. You can also purchase Tennis Weekly merch at etsy.com/shop/Tennis Weekly Podcast and check out our website, tennisweekly.co.uk.
We'll be back tomorrow from Wimbledon at Tennis Weekly HQ for our day 14, the men's final catch-up. So I hope you can join us for that. But in the meantime, it's goodbye from Chris.
Goodbye.
And it's goodbye from me. We'll see you again soon.